Good evening. My name is Jessica Beach, and welcome to the Lakehead Nursing News Hour at 6 o'clock. Tonight's top stories include the launch of Luna's nursing clothing line and a review of the article, How Not to Get Poked by a Needle Stick Injury. Before we begin, I would like to turn the attention to our special field correspondents, Alicia and Derek, who had the privilege to interview Deputy Chief of the Anishinaabe-Ashkiki Police Service, Mr. Bob Herman. He will be speaking on the emergence of Aboriginal youth gangs with specific prevalence in Thunder Bay. Let's hear it for Alicia and Derek.
Aboriginal street gangs, or First Nations street gangs, Native street gangs is what they're commonly referred to. The Indian Posse, Native Syndicate, and the Manitoba Warriors are the three prime ones. Manitoba Warriors originated out of Winnipeg, as did all these street gangs actually, and made their way into Ontario. They don't have a big presence, the Manitoba Warriors. The Native Syndicate is the biggest Native street gang that we're dealing with, not just in the city of Thunder Bay, but in the remote communities, the fly-in reserves up north.
Wow. And like, how many members do these kinds of gangs have? Well,
it depends. There's different criteria to determine if a person is an actual gang member, but in Northern Ontario, the estimates are up to 150 individuals are part of some sort of Native street gang.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, like I say, they're not just in Thunder Bay. They're they have links in Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Northern Ontario, and some of these gang members actually have affiliations with gangs in the Toronto GTA, non-Native gangs in the GTA.
Wow. So, what would be the predominant age group that would commonly be seen in these gangs?
Well, it's kind of interesting when they first started forming, they called them youth gangs, but one of the prominent members of one of these gangs is in his 40s. Okay. But they do tend to try to recruit young Native youth into these gangs, mostly males, obviously.
I was wondering if you could speak to whether these people are coming from low socioeconomic background. They don't have social supports. They have levels of mental illness. They have levels of drug addiction. They have lack of access to any sort of resources that can help them cope.
Sure. Well, I mean, you'd have to. It's very difficult to explain the situation, especially in the remote flying communities for Aboriginal youth. But having been to a number of them, matter of fact, I'm going to 6 in the next 3 days. These are remote flying communities. When you experience them, they don't have. First of all, you have very high unemployment. So there's really no economic incentive for people to work because there is no employment. So that creates people with a lot of free time on their hands. There's not a lot to do in these communities. So obviously substance abuse is a big issue. In some of the communities it's not so bad, but in quite a few of the communities it is a big issue. So they get into drugs, and what happens is any money they do get through either their social assistance programs, welfare programs, or whatever, goes towards feeding the habit, which creates problems because it's parents who have kids that get into this, and of course when they're into drugs a lot, they don't spend a lot of time with their kids, so the kids become disenfranchised. As they grow up, these are the prime targets. They don't come from very supportive families, so they're looking for some kind of support. And if you talk to gang members, they'll tell you that one of the reasons they joined a gang was to belong to something. They felt that they were loved and needed and stuff. One of the things that people don't understand that we tend to deal with in policing is that if you have a youth from up north come here and gets recruited into a gang, one of the ways that they use to intimidate the person, to get them into the gang, is they have members that are up on these bands and reserves up north, and they threaten their family members, threaten violence to the family members. So when you look at the impact on communities, it's not just the individual that gets drawn into a gang, it's their whole family might be drawn into the gang through threats and intimidation and violence, and that does happen.
What kind of treatment programs, or is there rehab facilities available for if someone comes out of a gang, and they're in a situation where they are still able to, if they want to pursue treatment? What kind of things are available for them?
Well, there's treatment for addictions,
Right.
obviously, but even those they're very limited spaces, and some of those are okay. But again, in a lot of cases, it brings them out of the community. So there's not a lot of in-community things. So where their biggest support mechanism may be their family, they're not really close to their family, so it makes it very difficult. And it's very hard for people to understand how hard it is to get to a flying community, to a remote community. It's not like getting on the bus. I mean, sometimes you may not get flights because of weather. Sometimes it may be too expensive. So we in the police don't have a lot of programs, but corrections would probably have more programs within the correctional system to try to get people out of these gangs. I mean, quite frankly, we're in the enforcement business and the community safety business.
Right.
Certainly our officers, I know one of the things they do, we have officers in communities because they're in the community, they work the regular shift, they have time when they're not working. They start programs with kids, whether it's a hockey program or a fitness program or things like that, to try to give them something to do. I mean, it's not uncommon in these communities to see these kids walking around all hours of the night. It's just a way of life. So.